Hey everyone, thanks for tuning in. So this time you guys sent in a pretty intense topic, I gotta say.
Yeah.
This whole thing with TikTok potentially getting banned in the US, it's really heating up.
Yeah, it is.
So we're gonna take a deep dive into it today and try to make sense of all the moving pieces.
Absolutely.
We're looking at the CBS News article that breaks down some of the latest developments,
Right.
including this appeals court decision that just came down.
Oh, yeah, that's a big one.
So to set the stage a little bit, this is about way more than just
Oh, yeah.
viral dances and funny cat videos.
Right. It's way bigger than that.
We're talking about a major clash between, a social media giant
Mm-hmm.
and the US government.
Absolutely.
And there are some really big questions at play here.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, you've got national security concerns on one side,
Right.
free speech on the other. It's a fascinating case.
Yeah, so just imagine like we're scrolling through TikTok, right?
Yeah.
Laughing at cat videos, and then all of a sudden the app just vanishes from your phone.
Poof.
That's the reality that millions of users could be facing
That's right.
because of this law that was passed back in April 2024.
Yeah. And that law basically gave TikTok an ultimatum.
Right.
Cut ties with your Chinese parent company ByteDance
Mm-hmm.
or face a nationwide ban.
And they have until when to do that.
The deadline is coming up fast, January 19th, 2025.
Oh, wow. So like less than 2 months away.
Yeah, the ticking time bomb.
I did read, though, that President Biden has the power to delay that deadline by 90 days.
Yeah, that's true. He could
Yeah.
if there's a sale in the works.
Right, right. Okay, so then the courts got involved and things got even more complicated.
Oh yeah, the courts definitely threw a wrench in things.
So tell me about that. What happened?
Well, just this week, the D.C. Circuit Court of Appeals upheld the ban.
Whoa, okay, so what does that mean in plain English?
Basically, they said this law is constitutional. TikTok's got to go.
Whoa. Okay, so for those of us who aren't lawyers, what is the DC Circuit Court of Appeals? Like, where does that fall in the legal system?
So it's one step below the Supreme Court,
Okay,
and their decisions carry a lot of weight.
got it.
When they uphold a law, it's a big deal.
Mm-hmm.
In their decision, they actually quoted senior judge Douglas Ginsburg.
Okay.
And he basically said that this law is all about protecting Americans' free speech.
Huh. Okay, wait a minute.
Yeah.
How does banning an app protect free speech? That seems kind of contradictory.
That's the million-dollar question, right? And that's what makes this case so complex.
Mm-hmm.
You see, lawmakers from both parties are really worried about TikTok's potential
Okay.
to become a tool for the Chinese government.
Okay, I can see how that would be a concern.
They're worried about data collection spying and even the possibility of China using TikTok to push their own agenda.
So, like, China could be using TikTok to gather information on U.S. citizens?
Yeah, and to manipulate what people see on their feeds.
Wow, that's a scary thought.
And to support their concerns, they point to China's national security laws,
Okay.
which actually require companies to cooperate with intelligence gathering.
So they're saying this isn't just a conspiracy theory.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's a legitimate concern based on how China operates.
So I'm guessing TikTok isn't just sitting back and letting this happen, right? They have to be fighting back.
Oh, absolutely. They're pushing back hard against these allegations.
Okay, and what are they saying?
Their spokesperson, Michael Hughes, has been very vocal.
Mm-hmm.
He's calling the whole thing a witch hunt
A witch hunt.
based on inaccurate, flawed, and hypothetical information.
So they're saying it's all smoke and mirrors.
Yeah, and they're confident that the Supreme Court will see things their way.
Ah, the Supreme Court. The ultimate showdown.
Yeah, it could come down to that.
But how does the First Amendment fit into all of this? Our right to free speech.
It's a great question, and it's definitely where things get tricky.
Because banning an entire app seems like a pretty big violation of free speech.
Right, and one of the judges, Srinivasan, made an interesting comparison.
Oh, okay, tell me about that.
He said during wartime, it's totally acceptable to prevent a hostile country
Uh-huh.
from owning a major media company.
So he's comparing TikTok to a wartime propaganda machine.
Essentially. Yeah,
That's a pretty strong statement.
it is. But then another judge, Naomi Rao, countered that argument.
Oh, really?
She said that TikTok is a different beast altogether.
Okay.
She argues that a social media platform with its personalized algorithms
Mm-hmm.
and potential for covert influence poses a unique threat
I see.
that goes beyond traditional media.
So two judges, two different perspectives on how the First Amendment applies here.
It really highlights the challenges of applying old legal principles to this new digital world.
That's a good point. And wait, isn't there more to this story?
Yeah, this isn't even the whole picture yet.
Oh boy, what else is there?
Well, the whole issue of the for sale is where things get really tangled.
Okay.
The Chinese government has made it clear they are absolutely against selling TikTok's algorithm.
Oh wow. So that's like the brains behind the app.
Yeah, you could say that it's the secret sauce that makes TikTok so addictive.
So they're basically saying you can have the app, but you can't have the secret formula that makes it work.
Exactly. And TikTok and ByteDance are arguing that rebuilding that algorithm from scratch is basically impossible.
Especially with the deadline looming.
Yeah, they actually use the phrase fundamental re-architecting in their legal challenge.
Whoa.
It makes it sound like trying to build a spaceship with a screwdriver and some duct tape.
So it's like a catch-22, right? The U.S. government wants TikTok to sever ties with ByteDance,
Yeah.
but the Chinese government won't let them sell the very thing that makes TikTok TikTok.
Exactly. It's a real dilemma.
So where does that leave us?
Well, that's a great question, and that's what we're going to dig into next.
It sounds like a total stalemate. But in all of this back and forth, what about the users?
Yeah.
Like, did the court even consider the impact this could have on the millions of people who use TikTok every day?
They did. They actually acknowledged that this decision could have some pretty big implications for TikTok's massive user base.
Right, because for a lot of people, it's more than just an app.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
It's like a source of connection and entertainment. Some people even make a living off of TikTok.
Absolutely. It's become a full-blown cultural phenomenon.
Yeah, I mean, remember that whole renegade dance craze?
Oh, yeah.
That started on TikTok.
That's right.
It's crazy how it's influenced everything, like music, fashion, even language.
Yeah, TikTok's reach goes way beyond the app itself.
So if the ban actually goes through,
Yeah.
all those users are going to have to find somewhere else to go.
Right. And that raises some interesting questions about competition in the social media world.
Like, what happens when a platform that big just disappears?
Exactly. It could shake things up quite a bit.
Okay, so this legal battle isn't over, is it? What's next for TikTok?
Well, their next move is likely to appeal to the Supreme Court.
Okay.
They're hoping the highest court in the land will take up their case
Right.
and maybe put a stop to this whole ban.
So if the Supreme Court does decide to hear the case, what could happen?
Well, there are a few possibilities.
Okay.
They could side with TikTok and declare the ban unconstitutional,
Okay.
or they could uphold the ban, and that would be the end of TikTok in the U.S.
Wow.
Or they could try to find some kind of middle ground,
Yeah.
maybe set some stricter regulations for TikTok without banning it outright.
So a lot of uncertainty still.
Yeah, the fate of TikTok really hangs in the balance.
You mentioned earlier that lawmakers from both parties have been concerned about TikTok. Is this really a bipartisan issue then?
That's a good question. It's true that many lawmakers from both sides of the aisle are worried about TikTok's ties to China and the potential national security risks.
Yeah.
But it's not a completely unified front.
Oh, so there's some lawmakers who don't support the ban.
Yeah, there are definitely some who think the ban is going too far.
Okay.
They argue that it's an overreach of government power
I see.
and that it could set a dangerous precedent for censorship.
So what do they propose instead of a ban?
Well, they say we should focus on strengthening data privacy laws
Mm-hmm.
and find ways to mitigate the risks without silencing an entire platform.
So it sounds like there are some valid points on both sides of this debate.
Absolutely. This case really highlights the challenges we're facing as a society
Yeah.
in this digital age, trying to balance national security concerns
Yeah.
with individual freedoms.
It's a tough balance to strike for sure.
And then you have this question of how to regulate these powerful tech companies
Mm-hmm.
without stifling innovation or free expression.
Yeah. It's a tricky situation.
It really is.
I mean, think about it.
Yeah,
Back when Facebook first started, it was just a way to connect with college friends.
right.
Now social media is like woven into every aspect of our lives.
It's true. It influences everything from politics to pop culture.
Yeah, it's everywhere.
And as these platforms become more powerful and influential, it's more important than ever to have these kinds of discussions.
Right, like about their role in society and how to make sure they're being used responsibly.
Exactly. We need to be having these conversations.
Okay, so we've got this legal battle raging on a potential Supreme Court showdown
Yeah.
and a whole lot of uncertainty surrounding TikTok's future.
It's true.
But what does this all mean for us as everyday users?
That's the key question, isn't it?
Yeah, like what does it mean for the people who rely on TikTok for entertainment connection, even income?
This case really shines a light on the power dynamics at play in this digital landscape.
Okay.
You've got governments trying to figure out how to regulate these platforms,
Right.
companies trying to navigate this complex web of laws and user expectations, and individuals trying to protect their data and their rights in this constantly changing world.
It's like we're all playing this giant game of digital chess.
I like that analogy.
And the stakes keep getting higher.
Exactly. And it's so important for all of us to understand the rules of the game
Yeah.
and the potential consequences of our actions.
So what can we do? As users, what are some practical steps we can take to navigate this digital landscape and make informed decisions about the platforms we use and the information we share?
Well, that's where things get really interesting.
Okay.
And that's what we're going to explore in the final part of our deep dive.
Okay, I'm intrigued.
We'll talk about some concrete steps you can take to protect your privacy.
Okay.
Stay informed about these issues and make sure your voice is heard in this ongoing debate about the future of the internet.
Okay, I'm ready. Let's do it. All right, so we've covered a lot of ground here. The legal battle, the national security concerns, the free speech debate, and the potential impact on users.
We have. It's a lot to unpack.
It is. So what does it all boil down to for us as individuals? It's easy to feel kind of helpless in all of this.
Yeah, it's true. This whole TikTok saga really highlights the complex relationship we have with technology.
Yeah.
And the power it has in our lives. We're talking about an app that started as a way to share silly videos, and it's become this major geopolitical issue.
It's mind-blowing.
It really is. So how do we make sense of it all?
Yeah, that's the big question. What are some things we can actually do as users to navigate this crazy digital world?
Well, I think the first step is awareness.
Okay.
We need to understand the potential risks of the platforms we use. And that means actually reading those privacy policies.
Ugh, I know those things are so long and boring.
I know, but they actually do contain some important information.
Okay, fair enough. So read the privacy policies. What else?
We also need to be more mindful of the information we share online.
Okay.
Think before you post. Ask yourself, is this something I'm really comfortable sharing with the world?
Yeah, it's easy to forget that everything we post online is out there for good.
Exactly. And it's not just about privacy.
Right.
It's about being aware of how our data is being collected and used.
It's like that saying, if you're not paying for the product, you are the product.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Our data is valuable, and these companies know it.
So awareness and being mindful of what we share. What else can we do?
Another important step is to diversify our information sources.
Okay.
Don't just rely on one platform for your news and information. Seek out different perspectives. Challenge your own assumptions.
Yeah. It's easy to get stuck in an echo chamber, especially on social media.
It is. So make sure you're getting information from a variety of sources.
That's a good point. And we should also be critical of the information we come across.
Absolutely. Especially in this age of misinformation and disinformation.
Right. Like not everything we read online is true.
Exactly. So do your research, check your sources.
Be a savvy digital citizen.
Exactly. And finally, don't be afraid to speak up.
Okay.
Contact your elected officials. Share your concerns.
Yeah.
Engage in the public debate.
Right, because our voices do matter.
They absolutely do. We have a right to shape the future of the digital world.
This whole TikTok thing has really been eye-opening.
It has.
It shows just how intertwined the digital world is with our lives, our society, our politics.
It affects everything.
And we need to be active participants in shaping that future.
I couldn't agree more.
Not just passive consumers.
Exactly.
Well, this has been a fascinating deep dive.
It has.
Thanks for breaking it all down for us.
My pleasure.
To all our listeners out there, remember, stay informed, be mindful, and engage.
Great advice.